Hello all, in this particular tutorial we will learn how to restore a DB2 encrypted database on a different server in instance which has no encrypted database. So let's think of a scenario. I have got a server called DB1, instance DBP, there is a encrypted database, and server DB2, the same instance is present DBP but there is no encrypted database. What we want to do is we want to restore this encrypted database into this particular instance. And how do we do that? That's what we are going to see in this particular tutorial. So let's begin. So this is my server DB1 and this is my server DB2. If you take a look at the color coding, the server DB2 is sky blue color or blue color, whatever you want to call it. So based on the color, font color, you will identify whether I am performing the activity on DB2 or DB1. You can always take a look at the host name, but the font color will help you identifying which server I am on. Now, here, let me show you both of these instances. I'm going to start all fresh. So you can see that this particular instance, the key store is not defined, which means that in this particular instance, we cannot create encrypted database. And same case here as well on the target server. So what we'll do is we will first set up the encryption. To set up the encryption, what we need to do, we will create a directory. So we'll create a directory where we are going to store our key store. So let me clear the screen and let's create a directory. Let's go to that particular directory, and under that directory it will be completely blank. We will create a random file. This particular random file will be used. This is the Unix command. This is not a DB2 command. This is the random file that we are going to create, and this particular random file will be used to create the database master encryption key. So let's create this. So if I do ls-l, you can see we got a random file here, the random file that we just created. Now what we are going to do, we will use the GSK8 CAPICMD64 because we are doing this on a 64-bit machine. We are going to use this. So if you go to your instance home directory, SQL lib, under that gskit bin, you will find this particular utility. Let me just show it to you. So if I do, let me clear the screen, ls-l, if I do this, you can see that we got this particular utility, and this is the utility that we will use to play around our keys. Now I can give the complete path, but that command will be bigger, so I'll give a small command. So here sorry, the first thing that we are doing is we are creating the key db. So using this particular command, we are creating the key db, and we are specifying what is the name of your key db, and we are specifying the password for that particular key db, and we are also creating a stash file, and this particular stash file will help us to, whenever the instance starts, we don't have to specify the password. So let's run this particular command, which is going to create two files. So you can, if you see here, ls-l, you can see we got two files. One is the key store p12 and the stash file. Now what we are going to do, we are going to now add the secret key. This is the secret key for the database. This is the secret key for the database. And when we add this secret key, we are going to use that random file. We are going to use that random file that we just created, and we are going to create the label which we are going to use while encrypting the database. So let's create that. So before I create that, let me show you what's there in my key store. What's there in my key store? Let's see that. So I'm going to show you what's there, and you can see no certificates were found because we have not added any secret key. So let's add the secret key into our key store using the secret key add db, what is the key store name, and this is the random file that we just created, and this is the label name. Now that we have created the secret key, let's verify what's there in our key store, and you can see we got this particular label that we just created. So we have now one label in our key store. Now this is the label that we are going to use while encrypting the database. So now that we we no longer need the random file. The random file work is done. So I'm going to remove this random file. I don't need this random file at all now. So only two files that I need is the key store file, the p12, and the stash file. Now the at this moment, the what I've done is I've just created the key store, but we have not yet updated the key store location into the dbm config. So you can see the dbm config still has no key store type or key store location. So what we are going to do, we are going to update the dbm config. We are going to update the key store location and key store type. So the key store location is the p12 file, and the key store type is the pkcs12 format. So let's take this, let's run both of these commands together, and that's done. Now the instance is already up. So what we need to do, we need to stop and start our instance. So let's run db2 stop comma db2 start. So I'm stopping and starting the instance. And once that is done, let's verify the value of our key store, and that looks good. So whatever we updated, you can see it was none. Now we got pk cs12 and key store location. This is our key store location. Now we can create the encrypted database. So when I create the encrypted database, I'm going to give this master key label. Now, this is not mandatory. If I don't give this master key label, then and if you just say create db new db encrypt, what it's going to do is going to create a new key label into the key store. Now, I don't want that to happen, and that's why I'm going to specify my key label. So let's take this command, and we need to make sure, and I'm going to run this particular command once again, the cert list command. So let me run this particular command. So we need to make sure that label that is specified, so the label that we specify here, this particular label should be present in our key store. So if I give something like 2, this will not work because the label is label 1 and I'm trying to give label 2. This will fail. So, and I'll show it to you. So if I run this, you can see label 2 does not exist in the key store, which means that I can't use anything else apart from label 1. Now again, let me repeat, I can just run the command up to encrypt and that's going to work. I don't have to specify this. What's going to do is going to create a new label in the key store. Now, but that's not what I want. So I'll create when I create the database, I'll say encrypt using the label which is present, and the label which is present is label 1, and that's what I'm going to specify here. So and the database is getting created. The database creation will take some time. I'll pause the video and come back once it is about to be done, or maybe it's already done. So anytime from now, our database will get created, and that looks good. The create database command completed successfully. Now, what we will do now is we will verify if this particular database is encrypted. And if I run this particular command, you can see encrypted database is yes. And let me run one more command which will tell us what are the encryption options, etc. and encrypted libs. And you can see it uses this particular library, and the cipher AES and the key length is 256. So we have an encrypted database. Now, let's try to take the backup of this particular database. So let me go to the directory where I'll store my backups, and what I'll say db2 backup db, and if I say new db1, this particular, I don't have to use the keyword encrypt. Let me explain this. I don't have to use the keyword called encrypt. Even if I don't use the keyword, I can use the keyword called encrypt, but even if I don't use that particular keyword, if I don't use this particular keyword, still my backup will be encrypted, and I'll prove it to you in a minute. So the backup, I have initiated the backup and the backup is completed. Now let's run the ls-lrt command. So you can see we got the backup here. Let me clear the screen, and what I'll do, I'll store this and ls-lrt, and what I'll do is I'll take this DB2 CKBKP, and I'm interested in the header -h, this particular file, and grab for compression. And you can see it says compression is encrypted, which means that this particular backup is encrypted in nature. I don't have to specify the encrypt command here. I don't have to use, like, the command that I use to take the backup is db2 backup db new db1. I did not say encrypt. But however, even though I did not say encrypt, this particular backup is encrypted because the database itself is encrypted. I don't have to do double encryption. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer this particular file. I'm going to transfer this particular file to the destination server. So let me take this particular backup image and transfer it to the destination server. So let me transfer it to the backup location where I'm going to store the backup. So I'm going to transfer it to the destination server. So that's the backup image has been transferred. Now what we are going to do now is we are going to try to restore this particular backup onto the destination server. And to do that, what we need to do is we need to transfer the key store file and the stash file. We need to update the dbm config. That's all we need to do. So what I'm going to do, I'll go to this location where my keys are stored. So let me go to this location and let me transfer these two files to the destination. So I've already transferred the backup file. Let me transfer this particular file and this particular file. So scp star, this both the files I'm going to transfer to the DB2 server into the same location where I can change that location. It does not matter. But the problem is the command failed because I did not create that directory on the destination server. So let me create that particular directory. Let me go to that particular directory. That particular directory is completely empty because we have not yet transferred. The transfer command failed. So let me transfer those, and now the transfer worked. And if I see here, we got those values. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to update the dbm config. So you can see the dbm config on the destination server, it is currently set to null. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to update that particular dbm config to the exactly same values, the directory where that particular file and the name of that particular file and the key store type. So I'm going to do that. And because we need to bounce the instance, let me stop and start the instance. So db2 stop and db2 start. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just restore my database. So let me go to the location where I've stored my backup. So that's done. Let me clear the screen and let me verify that yes, those two parameters have been updated. Yes, those are updated. So let me go to the location where I've stored or I've transferred the backup. So this is the location where I've transferred the backup. I'm going to use this particular command. So let me explain this particular command in a bit. So db2 restore database new db2, sorry, it should be new db1, not db2. So new db1 encrypt master key label. So this is the label from that particular key store. And if whatever we have done till now is good, then I should be able to restore my database successfully, and we should be able to activate our database and connect to our database. So let's give it a minute for the restore command to work. And that's done. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to activate the database just to verify that yes, the database is good. And then I'm going to connect to that particular database just to verify that yes, I'm able to connect to that particular database. And yes, I'm able to connect to this particular database as well. So what we have done here is pretty simple. So we have not done any big thing. So on the server, on the source server, I created the key DB. I then added a secret key. Then the key DB and the stash file. I updated the key DB location in the DBM configuration key store location. I updated the key store type to this. I created a database, encrypted database using the master key label that we created. Once the database has been encrypted, Then what we did, we took the backup of that particular database. We don't have to specify the encrypt. If you specify also, it is fine. If you don't specify also, it is fine. The backup will be encrypted. Take this particular backup. We transfer this particular backup to the destination server. Once we transferred, we also transfer the two files, the stash file and the p12 file. We updated the dbm config with the key store location and key store type, using the same files that we got from the source server. And then we were able to restore the database, we were able to activate the database, and we were able to connect to this particular database. So in this particular tutorial, we learned how to restore a DB2 encrypted database on a different server in instance which has no encrypted database. In the next tutorial, we will see how to restore a DB2 encrypted database on a different server in instance which has already an encrypted database, and we will learn how to restore. So we will make sure that our existing database is also working and our newly restored database is also working. We will see that in the next tutorial. I hope you like this particular tutorial. If you do like the videos that I'm uploading, if you do like the content that I'm uploading on my channel, do hit the like button, do hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching and see you in next tutorial. Till then, bye bye.